Scene 3 of this series of lesbian short films presents a compelling and emotionally charged encounter between Sinn Sage and Raven Rockette, two musicians whose shared history, rivalry, and eventual emotional entanglement create a complex exploration of competition, mentorship, resentment, and emerging passion. The scene opens with Sinn confronting Raven, expressing anger and frustration over being replaced in the band, which she believes was the pinnacle of her musical career. From the outset, the scene establishes a high-stakes emotional dynamic, where professional rivalry intertwines with personal pride and identity. This layered interaction is especially relevant to LGBTQ narratives because it demonstrates how emotional intensity in same-gender relationships can move fluidly between conflict, reconciliation, and intimacy, a theme that resonates across lesbian experiences. Lesbian viewers can relate to the scene on multiple levels. The depiction of women competing in traditionally male-dominated or highly visible spheres, the navigation of complex interpersonal emotions, and the vulnerability required to confront someone who has deeply impacted one's life. Sinn's confrontation is not simply about professional loss, it is also about the emotional toll of mentorship, disappointment, and the desire for recognition. For many women, particularly lesbians who may have experienced similar dynamics in competitive environments, the dialogue captures a recognizable tension between wanting to assert one's agency and needing validation from someone who has been both influential and threatening. The dialogue between Sinn and Raven is emotionally raw, oscillating between accusation and acknowledgement. Sinn expresses that Raven's past behavior and eventual replacement deprived her of the chance to demonstrate her growth and stability as a musician, signaling a broader theme of personal reclamation and self-worth. This is significant in the context of LGBTQ storytelling because it emphasizes the importance of recognition and equality in relationships, both platonic and romantic. Lesbian audiences, especially those who have navigated spaces where gender and sexual orientation intersect with professional or creative achievement, can relate to the frustration of feeling unseen, undermined, or unfairly judged by someone whose approval or presence carries disproportionate weight. The scene depicts Raven initially defending herself, but eventually acknowledging Sinn's perspective, demonstrating that honest communication, even amid conflict, is a critical tool for relational growth. Women in general can relate to the way two people with intertwined histories must negotiate accountability, acknowledgement, and mutual understanding in emotionally charged circumstances, and this resonates particularly with queer viewers who recognize that societal biases often compound these struggles in same-gender interactions. As the confrontation progresses, Sinn's anger shifts into a mixture of acknowledgement and begrudging respect, especially when Raven highlights her own role as Sinn's mentor. This duality is particularly meaningful in LGBTQ culture because mentorship, guidance, and the passing of knowledge have historically been critical mechanisms for survival, empowerment, and identity affirmation. For many lesbian women, navigating careers, creative pursuits, or personal growth in a world that often marginalizes queer voices involves both learning from predecessors and asserting independence from them. In this scene, Raven's acknowledgement of Sinn's growth and talent, coupled with Sinn's own recognition of Raven's role in her development, mirrors real-life dynamics where lesbian relationships are often layered with mentorship, rivalry, and eventual collaboration or mutual respect. This mirrors the broader cultural experience of queer women supporting one another while simultaneously competing for recognition, validation, or social space, reflecting the dualities inherent in relationships shaped by shared marginalization and personal ambition. Another notable aspect of the scene is how it addresses societal pressures and perceptions regarding women in music and in positions of influence. Sinn's frustration is compounded by her awareness that her career was jeopardized not only by personal missteps, but by broader structural expectations. In many fields, women, and especially queer women, are scrutinized more harshly than their male counterparts, and the dialogue subtly gestures toward this reality. Sinn articulates a desire to prove her stability, talent, and worth, while Raven's defensive posture reveals an acute awareness of her own power and responsibility. Lesbian viewers can identify with this tension. The experience of striving to be taken seriously, achieving success, and being judged not just for performance but for adherence to societal norms is a familiar narrative. For women more broadly, the scene illustrates the universal challenges of negotiating authority, reputation, and personal history within competitive spaces, highlighting the layered pressures faced by individuals whose contributions are constantly assessed through the lens of gendered expectation. The physicality and intensity of the scene also provide insight into the emotional intimacy and complexity of queer female relationships. Sinn and Raven's confrontation escalates to near physical tension, with sharp exchanges and accusations of blame, betrayal, and inadequacy. In LGBTQ narratives, the proximity of anger, passion, and eventual mutual understanding is a common trope that reflects the intensity of emotional bonds forged in shared struggle and marginalization. Lesbian viewers can relate to this in terms of relational intensity, the ways in which conflict, attraction, and emotional investment can coexist, creating a dynamic where love, rivalry, and respect intermingle. The scene emphasizes that emotional truth, vulnerability, and the acknowledgement of each other's contributions are critical to moving beyond resentment toward connection. This mirrors real-life experiences where queer women must navigate the intersections of past wounds, unspoken competition, and the desire for authentic emotional connection, illustrating the nuanced spectrum of relational dynamics that exist within lesbian culture. One of the most significant elements of the scene is the way anger transforms into acknowledgement and eventual passion, underscoring the fluidity of emotional experience in queer relationships. Sinn initially approaches Raven with a desire for revenge, framed through a professional lens, but the confrontation quickly evolves into a dialogue that is both emotionally raw and relationally intimate. The transition from antagonism to connection reflects the complexity of human emotions and the unique ways in which lesbian viewers may recognize and process interpersonal tension. The scene demonstrates that same-gender relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or competitive, often involve navigating intense emotions with honesty, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront difficult truths. Women can relate universally to this dynamic. The oscillation between frustration, admiration, and attraction is not unique to queer experience, yet the script situates it in a context where female emotional and creative power is central, giving lesbian audiences both representation and resonance. Society's discomfort with female-to-female intimacy, particularly when it is both assertive and emotionally charged, is another critical aspect of the scene. Sinn and Raven's exchanges challenge normative expectations about how women should relate to one another. They are not passive, demure, or secondary to male validation. Instead, the dialogue portrays two strong, assertive women navigating complex emotions, asserting authority, and claiming their right to both personal and professional recognition. Lesbian audiences may identify with the subtext here, the pushback that often comes from societal discomfort with women occupying positions of power, both creatively and relationally, as well as the scrutiny directed toward expressions of same-gender desire, whether overt or subtle. By presenting their rivalry and eventual emotional entanglement as authentic, high-stakes, and multidimensional, the scene validates the legitimacy of queer female passion and ambition in a society that frequently devalues or sensationalizes it. The script also thoughtfully addresses the balance of accountability and forgiveness, a theme central to all healthy relationships and particularly resonant in LGBTQ narratives. Sinn confronts Raven about past mistakes, expressing anger and asserting her own rights to validation and recognition. Raven responds with acknowledgement of her role, offering both accountability and an invitation to move forward. This negotiation reflects the importance of dialogue, mutual respect, and emotional literacy in building connections, whether romantic, platonic, or professional. Lesbian audiences can particularly relate to the challenge of holding someone accountable while remaining open to reconciliation or partnership, recognizing that same-gender relationships often carry layers of historical, social, and emotional complexity that require careful navigation. Women more broadly can relate to this as well. The scene portrays the universal human experience of negotiating power, pride, and emotional vulnerability with those who have deeply impacted one's life. Moreover, the scene highlights mentorship and the evolution of skill and identity. Sinn acknowledges Raven's role in her development as a guitarist while asserting that she has now surpassed her mentor, both technically and personally. This dynamic is emblematic of queer relational patterns, where admiration, rivalry, and the desire for independence coexist. Lesbian viewers can connect with the tension between honoring someone's influence and claiming one's own identity, a theme common in both professional and personal contexts. It also demonstrates how queer women, like all individuals, negotiate growth and self-definition in relation to others, especially those who have held power, influence, or mentorship roles in their lives. This duality of dependence and independence, mentorship and rivalry, emotional intimacy and personal assertion is portrayed with precision and realism, offering a narrative that is both instructive and relatable. In conclusion, Scene 3 of this lesbian short film series is a rich exploration of rivalry, mentorship, emotional intensity, and emergent passion between Sinn Sage and Raven Rocket. The scene addresses themes of accountability, recognition, and relational negotiation in ways that are highly resonant for lesbian audiences, while also illustrating universal dynamics of human connection and conflict that women can relate to across contexts. By portraying two strong, complex, and emotionally nuanced women navigating their intertwined personal and professional histories, the scene challenges societal discomfort with same-gender intimacy, celebrates emotional honesty, and affirms the legitimacy of queer relational complexity. Lesbian viewers will find resonance in the negotiation of rivalry, admiration, and emerging attraction, while all women can relate to the challenges of balancing emotional intensity with accountability and growth. The script emphasizes the fluidity of human emotion, the transformative potential of confrontation, and the ways in which anger, passion, and respect can coexist in meaningful relationships. By situating this narrative within a professional and creative context, the scene further highlights the ways queer women assert authority, claim recognition, and navigate spaces that are often shaped by both societal bias and personal aspiration. Ultimately, Sinn and Raven's interaction models a rich, realistic portrayal of queer relational dynamics, affirming the value of emotional authenticity, mutual recognition, and the nuanced negotiation of love, rivalry, and personal identity. The scene's intensity, dialogue, and subtext serve to normalize queer female passion, illustrate the transformative potential of accountability and reconciliation, and provide both representation and relatability for audiences seeking thoughtful depictions of lesbian connection. Through its exploration of mentorship, rivalry, and evolving attraction, Scene 3 underscores the layered complexities of LGBTQ relationships, while offering a narrative that resonates with universal human experiences of anger, desire, growth, and emotional intimacy, all within a safe, for work, compelling storytelling framework that affirms queer women's experiences, challenges societal biases, and highlights the legitimacy and richness of emotional connection between women, ultimately providing a narrative that is engaging, affirming, and deeply relevant for lesbian viewers and women more broadly who seek authentic representation of relational complexity, emotional growth, and the interplay of rivalry and passion in human relationships.